I think too we're doing this live on YouTube. So if you go to I think just youtube.com/biohertz, you'll get a chance to see what we're working on. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to do a lot more of these in the days to come. If you guys have questions and stuff like that, I will try to verbally respond to them. I don't think I can type and do this at the same time. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite shots. Again, I mean, if you're actually, wanting to see the stuff, as large and, as possible, we got the full screen versions and everything here too. So, um, yeah, it's really just a cool experience. Working with Celina is fantastic. She's such a beautiful model and really graceful and funny too. There's shots that are kind of taken from a just the in between moments, like the little fun moments. I think this is one of our better shots too. I'm gonna full screen that one for just a second. Um, Let me go back. So this gives you an idea of what that set looked like. So yeah, definitely check it out. If you like what we do, support us here. We have different products on the site, SpXlmag membership, different things like that. Special Plus membership, changed the name of that recently. Um, how Mike says, how do I handle hotspots? Any tricks to bring back some of the stuff other than the burn? No, I really don't worry about that. I had this big argument with a guy. I don't know. I can't really call it a true argument, but just a discussion with an art director that I had one time, and he was really, really worried about things like hotspots and stuff like that. And it never really bothered me. It was like something that I just felt like um, happens. I mean, if you go outside with your own eyes, there are times where the sunlight will blind you. I mean, there'll be so much light reflected back into you that you can't see the surface that you're looking at, and that's natural to me. So, if you see a lot of my photos, I don't have a histogram set up right now where you can see this, but um, and maybe I can bring that up, but in that situation, my histogram a lot of time is blown out completely on the brights. Sometimes my darks are a little bit shallow, and you can see that in this photo here. Maybe this it isn't the easiest to see on this screen, but the point is, um, I don't I don't worry about blowouts. In terms of lighting. I just roll with it. A lot of my work gets kind of blown out that way. Maybe some people don't like it, but I think it's just different strokes. Hopefully that kind of answers a little bit. So let me start to get into what I came here to get into. And when we take a look in Lightroom, um, there were plenty of photos and stuff like that that turned out really cool. But you can only edit so many for a set. And when you're working with somebody like Celina, we end up shooting like 200 frames from a from one set, and I probably really should only be shooting something like 100 tops. But we're just clicking and clacking and let things happen. So. One of the shots that I actually do like and I thought was interesting is this one. But one of the things I didn't like so much about it was that uh, she seemed to be kind of far away from the mirror, and then the light that's kind of coming shining through the window is too far away from her. So everything just seemed to be a little bit spaced out. So this one actually didn't make the feature, but I thought that it would be one that'd be fun to go back and edit. So if there's little problems as I'm going through, please bear with me. Um, I don't have all of this kind of 100% figured out, but I just figured it'd be something to do. It could be fun. So I'm just going to pull this up in Photoshop. I'm not really going to be doing any sort of, like, I wouldn't call it teaching necessarily. I'm just going to be kind of working and talking along. If you guys have questions, I do have my other screen set up so that um, I can follow along with whatever you guys are saying, but I don't have it. Well, so and I am editing on my tablet. I use a Cintiq Pro for the light in this shot to really shine on the model. So I think we can kind of ignore that a little bit and probably just work on cleaning up the background in a couple of little areas, uh, which I'll do. I'm going to try to limit this thing to probably maybe 20 minutes if possible. I'm not the fastest worker in the world, so that'll be a big feat for me. And I'm just using my patch tool to do this. The patch tool in Photoshop is probably the best thing that they've ever come up with. So, before clone stamping and all that other sort of stuff. So I'm just going to make a selection, a manual selection around her. And I think this, we'll see if this is the right way to go about it. Kind of thinking all of a sudden that it's probably not the best way to go about it. I'm doing this just off the cuff, so yeah, I think that's kind of probably the wrong way to go about it. Now I actually have to think. So if I move her this way, she's going to be gone. So I really kind of have to select, I guess, closer to the frame. And then maybe just outside of her body. So again, the goal is to just move her to closer to the mirror. So I should be able to select there, click shift and drag, pull her as close as possible. Yeah, man, I don't know if it's gonna be 20 minutes. I said that I wanted to be 20 minutes, but I'm probably not going super meticulous on this. I'm just trying to screw around for a little bit. Okay, so I think that pulled her a lot closer to the mirror. Yeah, that actually. Oh, but then you can see at the bottom my sloppy work here has created an issue where she didn't quite get all the way over there. So let's remix this. I'm going to try to hold down my shift key, which is supposed to lock the axis horizontally, but maybe when I popped up I let go of the shift key really quick or something like that. So it might be cool too. I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm going to try to be sure to hold down shift the whole time. Okay, so hopefully we got it this time. Yep, okay. So that actually worked out. And let's just kill the rest of this mirror. So if you were to look, I could probably do a better job of just keeping something in the background. But if we're going from here to here, we got her properly moved over. And then if I just said, well, I want to crop this to the crazy Instagram 8x10 sort of setup, I could do that a little bit more easily and just create a little extra space for her head if we ever wanted to use that. Put her eye right on the line there to demark rule of thirds. And then if I just click content aware and delete crop pixels, it will fill in that space for me, but it will also delete any of the previous canvas. So if you're working in the way that I am, which is kind of quick and dirty, you're just gonna have to deal with some of this. you're gonna have to deal with some of the decisions that you make. So there we go. Now she's in an 8x10. I still think the cropping is not perfect. Maybe I push her over just a little bit more if I redid the cropping. But if you notice, since I deleted the crop pixels, if I go back in and click crop on this again, all that stuff is gone. So I'd really have to go back and redo that crop. Uh, it might be worth it. Let's take a quick look and see. Yep. More than anything, I think, um, yeah. All right, let's try one more crop on that. I thought it'd be better to leave some extra space, but nah. I think when I left the space on top of her head, I went to that one direction. I should probably leave it about here. Okay, so we'll do that again. And my computer is actually a relatively powerful system, but I'm recording to the hard drive. I'm also live streaming this, and it seems that the tablet is not as fast whenever it's hooked up to the webcam. I mean, whenever it's hooked up to the computer for whatever reason. So there's a few different things going on. I don't have a lot happening, um, and it looks like this stream is doing pretty well. So let's just continue on. So maybe if I'm too boring, we'll put on a little bit of music in the background. If the music is annoying, let me know. We can kill it. Right now, I don't hear anything. All right. I don't know if they can be heard or not, but let's get to work. So now that we've got this kind of figured out, um, there's little things. You can go all day with some of this sort of stuff, and you can make a map, obviously. But uh, first thing I'm gonna do. Oh wow! So I just killed my whole music vibe there. All right. So let's hope that this works out. I'm kind of using a microphone uh, wirelessly. Could be kind of clumsy. Uh, so some of the time, the first things I'm gonna do is start to work on like skin repair and stuff like that. That just it it just needs to be done at some base level, and the patch tool is probably the best thing in the world for that. Um, I will just clean up areas, and you're just gonna see me just dart around this thing. Anything that I see that kind of needs to get fixed, I'll do it here. Any kind of the little skin stretchies or whatever else. Sometimes it's fun to just grab those, grab another section, pull down, and then if you get that repetition, I'm from not using content aware. I think I'm just using this at normal. If you use it at content aware, it will try to give you some variation, but it sometimes takes some creative liberties that I don't always love. So it's a battle. It's a back and forth struggle between normal and content aware fill when I'm using the anytime I'm using the patch tool. So that's a quick little cleanup right there. I mean, you can see it doesn't look too bad. Little like discoloration scars or something like that on the arm, we can get rid of that. Um, if we wanted just to touch these sorts of things, and get in there, make some repairs. If they go too far, I try to always take a look and see how likely it is that I'm damaging things. too much or I'm going too far. So I'm always playing this little game of going in there and making some adjustments and being able to fade that adjustment by bringing a little bit of it back. So the good thing about working with good models is a lot of times they don't need any editing. I don't have a problem with editing or retouching. If you pay attention to what I do, you know that I have a retouching business and service, and I edit photos for a lot of different photographers. And some of this music's kind of annoying. All right, so the next thing I tackled a lot of that. Next thing we're probably gonna work on is the face. This little strand of hair hanging down, I don't know. It could be kept or you can get rid of it. Sometimes you don't know until you try it. I'm gonna try and get rid of it. I kind of like it gone, so I'm gonna leave it out. And yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm just continually going in, filling these areas. My retouching style is that I try primarily to fix things. I know that there's a lot of different styles of doing it. People will have you ordering retouching panels and all manner of of things for retouching, but in reality, I don't do any of that. I just use the tools that Photoshop already has. No retouching panel um, can can make Photoshop do something that it doesn't already natively do. They just kind of put a little bit of a button to it, a quick button access to it. And sometimes that stuff is handy, but I've been doing this long enough to feel comfortable uh, that there's only certain tools that I actually need for retouching, and then there's the rest that I don't. And also, you're not going to notice that I'm going to be using crazy techniques too much. The entire technique that I will use hinges on making small repairs to things like skin, using the patch tool, things like that. Um, and frequency separation. Frequency separation is the best thing that has happened to retouching. It's allowed retouching to get a hell of a lot better in the last few years. Um, this is how it happens. So um, let me continue on here. And I know most people won't get a chance to watch all of this live the moment it's happening, but I still do like live stuff. I think it's the last cool thing that we have. Um, with everything being kind of like on demand and short form media, I still like to be able to do and see some stuff live sometimes or put on live things. And that's one of the things with Spxlmag that we do, and we do our shoots live sometimes. One of the things I better do here is just let's save this somehow. Let me see. I'm gonna just save it to. Okay. All right. So all right. So that's probably my first save that I've done so far, which is probably kind of dangerous because you should be saving regularly. If you don't, you're gonna lose work. It's just a matter of when, uh, but it's gonna happen. So save often. Um, I kind of got out of doing a lot of auto saves years ago. I was traumatized by by Photoshop, it had these ridiculously long save times. So you'd be in the middle of working, and then you try to save something, and it would just simply just take all day to do. Alright, so this is probably the last area I'm maybe going to touch on the editing part. We might do just a tiny amount of liquify, and then our frequency separation, and then I think we're probably done. Maybe there's a couple of things, like if I wanted to clean up the walls in the background, I could do that. Yeah. Yep. Damn it. I'm getting a little sloppy with how I'm repairing stuff. But, okay. So again, I mean, if you take it from where we started out to, where we are now, we moved her a lot closer to the mirror. Nobody's the wiser, I don't think. But I think the photo looks better because of it. So again, like I said, my next step would be to liquefy. Some people use liquefy at the very end. Nah. I like to do it now because it feels like this is the stage for it. Alright, so I think, the thing that I really like, again, her body is just fantastic anyway. There's not much you need to do. You can see the muscle tone just right there in her back, so you can tell she's she's lifting, and she's got this fantastic body. I'll just pull the tummy in just a little bit, help the curve just a little bit. Alright, so I think that's about as much as I really want to do. For there, I mean, on this one, maybe her stance had the knee kind of poking out a little bit. So let's back that up. Okay. And again, I mean, this is just out of the camera, so she's fantastic. All right. So after we've got that, then it's time for our frequency separation, and I just have this on an action. Again, there's no retouching panel here. There's no, some of that stuff is a little exaggerated, I think. And I don't know, maybe there's some use for it. People like all the buttons, I guess. So when I'm doing my work on the frequency separation, I immediately just jump down to my color repair and start repairing colors there. I don't do a pass on I've seen some people doing these like luminosity passes, and going in. I don't do that. I don't really understand the point of it, because unless only reason why I would understand the point of it is if you're going to be editing or delivering your image in black and white. If I'm delivering my image in color, there's no real reason that I don't want to see the color, in my opinion. And this is just years of kind of testing and seeing different things. There's no real benefit to me in it. I mean, maybe everybody has their own thing, I guess. So if you are one of the people who do edit that way, Let me know why. Let me know what you get out of it, what you see. If it maybe you feel like it helps you see the lights and darks a little bit better, and you can edit to those values. But I don't dodge and burn. Well, I do dodge and burn, but I don't set up like a dodge burn layer necessarily. I don't know. I'll show you what I do for that when I get there. But most of this is just using the old Slick Force technique of just grabbing a clone stamp tool at 0% hardness and clicking and dragging the colors to where you want them to go. I pretty much try to follow the natural lighting pattern in the image, and in this case, the natural lighting pattern is kind of simple to follow. Yeah, so I'm just working with that. Again, I'm sure this is in iStrainer Vision on your phone. If you want to see the edit, I think we're live on YouTube right now. So if you wanted to see it, you could probably go to youtube.com. Well, I don't know. Our channel name was BioHertz, so I don't know. Yeah, copy. Yeah, I don't know if that's what we have anymore. But at one time it was youtube.com/BioHertz. Alright. So let's get back to this and try to wrap this thing up. I said it'd be about 20 minutes. And I may have just lied a little bit, but the goal was to get this thing done pretty quickly. There was some setup time, and I think we're almost done, to be honest. But what's up, people out there? I don't know if you guys are still watching. Jonathan Red clicked in. What's up? One of my photography homies, Michelle, wonderful model from out there in Brazil. Gotta give you a shout out. If you guys aren't following her, do it. her stories are a lot of fun. Yeah. So, all right. The last couple things I'd say maybe just I could hit that elbow a little bit, brighten that thing up, and then hit this. So at some point I was thinking, I mean, maybe people get a chance to check in with me throughout the day, doing these fairly regularly, just setting up the camera and going to town on retouching. Over time, I think people would start to kind of understand that they can come to the channel for that, and then even ask questions and stuff. I guess the only problem is that I don't edit with a ton of bells and whistles. Like I'm just a a grunt with a tablet, I don't go too hard into the tips and tricks of it all. Like I got all these thousands of layers for color repairs, and I don't know. I mean, I just think the further you go with that stuff, the more artificial the work starts to look. And just doing small things can kind of improve an image. I don't know if it always has to be really over the top. And I probably went through that phase a little bit, but now probably less like that than I used to be. So this is an interesting area right here in the face. It's a little bit darker than I want it to be under the eyes and maybe on this side of the nose, but it also has a nice little lighting fall off that I just don't want to completely wipe out. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that, and I'll be checking back and forth to see you know, how it's working out. I think it looks okay. So we're gonna stay with that and maybe just do a cleanup on this area. Let's see if I have anything good. Yeah, that kind of cleaned it up a little bit, I think. Nah, I didn't do shit. Made that up. Okay. Yep. There we go. Sometimes it takes a couple of little clicks, but if we can look before and after, I think it's a little bit better, a little bit brighter. So we'll work with that. And then same thing in the forehead. Like if we look here, we can kind of see that the lighting is not quite smooth. So let's just clean that up. Okay, it's a little bit better. And then again, we're gonna just go in and take maybe the light area, patch heal that. Okay. Now there is a little something weird going on here. Like if I get real close, I don't know if you guys can see that. There's just it was just a line there on the opposite side of her nose. It didn't get cleaned up last time, so I think that's a lot better. There's other things that I could clean up. I hate this. I don't quite understand. I think this is showing extras or showing a grid or something. Yeah, if I really got in there in the eye, I could clean up some of the stray stuff in here. Damn, and it just comes right back. Show pixel grid. I want to turn that off. Let's just clean up the little strays in the eye. And if you notice, all I did was I worked in the in the texture channel to get rid of that, because if you look here in the color repair channel, all this stuff is already blurred out anyway. There's nothing going on with the veins in the eyes or any hair strays in the eyes. All that stuff is happening in the texture layer. So if I really wanted to, I could probably just grab all of this and just move it to a clean area and just see what it gives me. It's not really necessary, but you know, you can take this as far as you want. Obviously, if you're doing a beauty campaign or something, you probably want to take it a little bit further. But if you're doing a glamour shot, like, I don't know, I mean, how far do you want to take it, especially when she's in a room like this and the eyes show up that big on screen. So it's kind of some decision making that needs to take place. From a distance, I thought I saw like a highlight kind of running down her forehead that I really didn't like that much. And now it's probably a little darker on that side than I want it to be. So that's the game. It's a little bit of a cat and mouse that happens while you're editing these sorts of images. You just have to kind of go back and forth, have a light touch, turn the layers on and off, see what you like and what you dislike about the work that you've done so far, and then just keep making refinements. So yeah, if you guys let me see, I think that got a little dark on me, and just a little hair coming down to the face, that doesn't bother me. Maybe a couple of the lighter spots there do. Yeah, we'll clean that up. Maybe clean up a little bit, oh, just over the lips. Smooth all this area. Oh, computer's barking back at me. my setup for doing most of this stuff is I'm using, again, I'm just using Photoshop. I use Lightroom, the Adobe products for the most part. Um, they work well. There might be some more convenient tools out there. I've seen people really raving about Capture One, but you know, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it right now. I don't really see a reason to go to town about it. So I like most of everything that's happening here. There's always, I mean, you could nitpick for days and hours, um, or hours and days, I guess. But uh, mainly, I think we got a pretty good shot here. So if there were other things that I wanted to clean up over here, they're probably going to be in the texture, but there's some lack of smoothness also. This would be probably the last thing that I would do is just take a nice large brush and go in and push this stuff out. Alright, there was nothing happening there for a few strokes. That happens all the time with me, man, like, because I use so many selections in my work, and I'm doing it with the patch tool a lot, that I'll get to a point where I'm clicking and dragging and nothing is happening. Do you guys know of any like royalty-free music stations out there that are pretty good? I'm just trying not to get kicked off of YouTube, so I'm trying to play a royalty-free YouTube channel in the background that will hopefully allow me to not get banned. So, if you got any suggestions, I would appreciate that. I don't know what you call some of this music, but it's like, it's kind of funny shit. Like, I don't know exactly who makes it. I don't really like that song. It sounds like it's just kind of mocking me. I should have had Celina join the stream, right? So that you guys could see her, ask her some questions. Maybe I'll try to do that in the future. Yeah, this is overkill though. By the time like you're starting to edit like the face and a reflection and of glass, like you don't got to do all that. It's over the top. All right. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. If there was anything, I mean, maybe I could lighten up some areas there. Maybe take the texture and just kind of clean up a little. Um, Maybe just along this edge. And I'm using the patch tool, but you could probably just as easily uh, just use the spot healing tool on it. But to patch tools sometimes a little more accurate to me. I mean, that could just be my imagination. It's probably much the same math. Yeah, so that worked out a little bit. So, all in all, there we go. I think I'm gonna call it quits. After that, you can again just see where we started with the landscape image. We've we moved her over at some point. I don't know how far in the game that was, but we moved her over closer to the mirror, expanded the frame up vertically, and just cleaned up the photo some so that you can see in different areas. We're just a little bit cleaner in the face. Um, a little bit cleaner in the body, a little bit cleaner in the booty, on the wall, all that sort of stuff. And you can take this thing as far as you legitimately want. There's no limit to. I'm struggling. I don't know all these buttons on here. I usually I'm not working on this computer for editing, but it's the most powerful one that I have. So I thought it'd be pretty good today. Um, I think that's it. I want to thank everybody who watched today. We had a pretty good amount of work that we did. The stream was on for 40 minutes, so it probably took me like 30 minutes to edit that. I thought it was going to be like 20. But while I'm talking and editing, I think all that stuff goes a little bit slower. Obviously, go to Spxlmag.com, check out the set, Spxlmag.com slash Celina dash wild. You'll get a chance to see the set. And there might be some other cool stuff on this to come. Maybe I will. No, I can't play the sound on this right now for whatever reason. I don't think it's gonna, really play out. But yeah, it's all in my ears right now. Pretty loud. Yeah, they say it's playing at 1080p, but it's it's questionable. All right, there we go. I think this will be a good way to end the video. You guys get a chance to see her. If I could play it out on the speakers, I definitely would, but I'm not quite set up right there to do it. Yeah, if you guys want more of these, send me a little bit of a message. Let me know. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to set something up a little smoother where people can comment, and I'll be able to do a simultaneous listen to the comments and everything that come on YouTube and everywhere else. So, all right, that's about that. Thanks again for watching, and have a good rest of the night. I think I'm going to try to catch up to Watchmen.